I can't hear you guys.
How far away? For the thrill is gone, I gotta get it on and find that strength. Cause the road I chose, yeah, it's always full. Those highway nights make me feel so safe. I chase the lightning, I got soaked in the rain. Dance with my demons till I couldn't see.
Welcome to Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. Innovative Strategies is a show designed to help people with their business and personal financial literacy, but not the way you've known. This is not your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30 plus years in the financial industry to stretch that financial box of yours. I would say, I don't know, from about a 32,336 foot view of things. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have questions, you can email Bill at billhasse.com or reach out to him right here at 216-THENET, at 216THENET@gmail.com. Put Innovative Strategies in the subject line. Today, start, grow, manage. Bill, welcome in.
Morning, Kent. Welcome
Good
back.
morning. Thank you. Been going, yeah.
Been a month.
It's been a minute. Yeah, I've been crazy.
I missed.
Yeah,
Coach was awesome to help stepping in, and then we had that interference last week. So we it was the first time in almost a year that we did not have a live show.
We didn't have a live one.
So we got to be getting close to that 50 shows right now.
Oh yeah, I'll take a look.
Because we started in June last year.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for my producer to tell me.
That's right.
That'll happen.
You know, the other thing is that people need to understand. They need to follow you on Facebook, on YouTube. The other thing is you've got a great podcast out there where all your shows live as well. So after they air, they can go out to Spotify. They can go out to Anchor.fm, Google Pod, wherever you listen to podcasts, and just look for Innovative Strategies.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate this. The effort, getting it all out there, and providing different ways for folks to listen in, hopefully help more folks out. Some new things happening as well.
Yeah, you've been busy.
It's been a busy time. As of last Friday, we have signed on with Roku TV.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So we're going to do a couple of shows there. One of the shows will be this show. The section that I do where it's conversations with the CEO.
Yep.
In the new studio, and then we're also going to do a documentary.
Yeah.
With Roku.
That'll be that's the Butterfield Studios over there. You can that's the visual studio. Here you're the audio. Right?
Yes, that's good point. Good point. At the visual studio, Butterfield Studios, we will be doing the Roku TV business. And again, the documentary. So we're gonna do a documentary on my partner is my new business that we're starting up, and that we've been working on for a number of months now.
Financial literacy, oddly
Financial literacy, bringing a national program out to all high school kids, and then hopefully in the country and beyond. So it's a big project, big deal. We start recording tomorrow.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
So
that's just great.
Thanks. So we're moving forward, and getting a lot of interesting plays involved here.
Yeah.
But today we do have a special guest. We have had, if you remember back in the day, we had a gentleman by the name of Joe Rojas on the show from Start Grow Manage, and now we have the distinct privilege of having from same Start Grow Manage operations, Jeff Lohr, who is he's a California boy. He's stuck in New York, so we're heading back out east. Yes, I know about your UCLA and University of California and London School of Business, but a West Coast boy stuck in the East Coast now. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you very much. Great to be here, Bill. Love what you're doing. Love your content. I'm really excited about your financial literacy for teenagers. I have two, one of them going off to college and one of them's a freshman. So if you could just sign me up right away, just put me in your
We
queue,
we'll get you
'cause we
that
need it.
discount. Don't worry about it.
I'll pay full price as long as they get some
Well,
some
look, yeah,
financial
but let me tell you,
literacy.
it's not gonna be cost prohibitive because we want everybody to be able to have access to it. But of course, we gotta cover costs and expenses and whatnot. But the
Sure.
idea is really to help folks in high school. We'll work on college students as well, but beyond, and just to help them understand the basics of financial literacy. So when you get into life, you understand how money works. You're in
You
a much
gotta
much
understand
better
it, Bill.
position.
So I appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks so much. And the work you're doing is helping these folks. If you become financially literate, you want to start your own business. Um, what's the most important thing in a business? I mean, it could be the only thing that's important in business because without it, you don't have a business. And
You mean the sales part of the business?
yeah, sales, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So sales and the sales and marketing, bringing
marketing,
those
very important.
clients into the business, so what we see is that you have to have a systematic way to bring the right customers in the front door. So you don't want all customers, you want those customers who are the right ones who are able to all customers who are able to or want to buy your product, your service. And our
Right.
theory, well, what we found is that any niche you can define is at least a $10 million business. And so if you can figure out how to get those people systematically into your business, that's it, right? Then you can work on delivery. Then you can do it over and over again. You build that business machine, you get it working, but you've got to get the right people in the front door and get them excited about what you're offering.
I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when starting a business is they have that thought process that this is good for anybody and we
Right.
can sell to everybody. And
Yeah.
we want to sell this internationally right off the get-go. And it good luck.
Like we were just talking about, your
And what do you wind up selling?
amazing product
What do you
is,
wind up selling when you try to sell to everybody?
if you try to sell to anybody, right? If you're
Nobody.
selling to anybody, if you have to water down your story to appeal to everybody, it appeals to nobody. You end up selling to nobody, right? And it's the most counterintuitive thing in the world. The more you narrow your niche, the bigger your market is.
It's so important, right? Like I said, we were talking, and I'm mentoring some fine young men at a high school in their entrepreneurial program, and I said, look, let's just start with selling your product or service to the kids in this school,
It's cool.
right? And then let's learn from that, and then let's go to the next school, and so on. And that's grassroots.
Did you ever notice how hard it is for people to do that, Bill? It's like there's this idea of, actually, I don't want to sell to the people I know. I'd much rather sell to, Finland or something. I don't know. Like,
Right.
it's almost like we prefer to go out into this market that we know nothing about rather than, at the school, tell your friend, hey, I've got this great sock that prevents blisters. Are you interested?
Well, right. This isn't Field of Dreams, right? You put it out there, and everybody's going to come to you and going to want to buy it, right? It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you know how well that process works.
but at the same time, Jeff, what are your thoughts on social media? Everybody thinks, well, let me get a podcast, let me spin something out there on YouTube or Facebook, and the floodgates will open.
Well, it's interesting. I worked with somebody who was in that, mindset, and he was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do 3 hours of posting and commenting before his day started at 7 o'clock. And he had all of these followers, and people were following and engaging with them. And guess how many people were buying?
Zip.
None. Right. And the thing is, engagement on social media does not equal sales. I'd rather have 5 followers on social media who are all going to buy from me than 10,000 who aren't going to buy from me. So we come back to this idea of find that perfect avatar, talk to that avatar, have a conversation with them, give them something useful and valuable, and then grow from there rather than blasting social media with tons of content that people don't want or need.
You bring up a really important single word there, value. I
Right.
constantly work with business owners that I tell them, and they say, well, the hard part is getting sales. I said, well, because you're trying to sell a product or a service. You're not trying to sell your value.
Right.
What you bring. You need to sell value of what you're bringing. The product or service, it's irrelevant. We talked about this, right? Selling an ice cube to an Eskimo.
Correct.
We brought, we were having this little conversation before the show started, and it's like, if you can't, as you said, and I'm quoting you,
Yeah.
if you can't sell ice to an Eskimo, you can't sell anything.
You can't sell anything. And
Why
and
is it? Because a lot of people will argue, well, that's what they call the ultimate salesman. I can, if
right.
you sell ice to an Eskimo, you can sell to anybody. Well, true, but if you can't sell ice to an Eskimo, you can't sell anything to anybody. And why is that, Jeff?
Well, I mean, it's such an interesting thing, right? The short answer is that the reason you can sell ice to Eskimos is that Eskimos understand the value of ice, right?
Oh.
They understand what they're going to do with ice. And I consider, I am a great fan. I am an avid skier. I love the stuff. Give me a mountain in snow, and I'm super happy. I wrote down 12 different words just before this of how I would describe ice and snow, right? And I probably have 12 more that didn't occur to me. You say the right words to me, and I will get on a plane tomorrow, cross the country, and buy my lift ticket, right? Because it's easy to sell ice to me. I know what I'm looking for. You go out into the desert,
I love skiing myself, so
we'll go skiing together.
Yeah, we'll go up to Killington, Vermont. That's where I learned how to ski.
That sounds nice. Well, you should come visit me in Tahoe. That's where I go when the conditions are right. I head over to Tahoe.
Yeah, but keeping on. So we're talking a lot about sales, but you're chief marketing officer. So where does that value of marketing come in that works with sales? I mean, are they different, or how do you need to balance those?
Well, it's an interesting. You talked to Joe Rojas, and Joe Rojas is our sales guy. And I met Joe because I'm doing marketing and he's doing sales, and it's a bit like chocolate and peanut butter. And we're doing these two things, and there's the slide for it, right? And we're like, and then at some point we realized, wait a minute, they're best together, right? Why are we doing these two separate conversations? And we realized that sales and marketing are exactly the same thing. You should be having exactly the same conversation in your marketing, versus your sales. Like your sales and marketing have to tell the same story. And if you go to the next slide, this is what we see as the perfect sales conversation, the perfect ideal sales conversation. There is no salesman, there's no salesperson involved. It's all been handled through marketing. And it's not easy to get here. The amount of work that goes into creating this is astronomical, right? So it's not like, the sales conversation or the marketing conversation is easy. You have to define it and figure it out. But ideally, you want people to really get what you're offering and come to you and say, I want that. And that's really what marketing should be delivering. You have to figure out that sales conversation and then build it into the marketing conversation, right? And we see sales and marketing as primarily, sales is sort of the manual version of this. It's where you start, and marketing is that automated, structured. Once you know exactly whom you're selling to, you turn it into your marketing conversation.
And I love the way you put that, and you see that picture with folks that aren't watching. We were showing a picture in a grocery store, and somebody in the aisle and grabbing a bunch of things. It is very difficult to get all the way to that point.
Right.
Get your product on the shelf and that involves a lot of marketing in and of itself to get there. Then which shelf is it going on? Because we know the value, right? We know that the stuff they want to sell the most is in the middle, right? Really easy to see, right at eye level. The stuff they want the kids to buy, that's down low. You know, and
Well, and knowing your customer, you'll have different colors, right? So different colors, different package designs, different headings on the on the package, and this all comes from you're doing focus groups, you're trying it out, you're doing samples in stores, you're like, all of this experimentation in the sales process has to happen so that you can create a marketing process that works.
And marketing, I think it starts with logo, it starts with websites, it starts with product, service, designs, and we can go on and on and on.
Well,
Because it's a
I would say that marketing starts with the story.
with where?
The story.
The story. Tell me a story.
You've got to understand the story. You've got to understand who that character is in your story. If you think of your customer as the character, there's something wrong. There's something missing in their life. And you have to understand what that is and tell a story of transformation. You are the fairy godmother. You are the mentor. You are the one who has that solution for them so that they can go through the process. And you invite them on a journey of transformation. And good marketing tells this story of transformation that draws you in because it starts by talking about you, the customer.
I like that.
So, Jeff, with what you guys do, sales is a 4-letter word, right? So over time, the greasy car salesman, the insurance salesman, or the
financial advisor guy.
Sales has gotten an incredibly horrible rap, right? And yet it's everywhere we go. And I think there's still a lot of people out there who are like, man, I got sucked into this. I bought this pair of shoes.
Buyer's
or whatever.
remorse.
Yeah, I got suckered into this. What do you say to that, or how do you get around that if you're a new business or you're really wanting to ramp up that growth part of your business?
Yeah, well, what we teach is the idea of prescriptive selling. Rather than convincing people to buy something, you understand the needs of your prospect and you give them a prescription to solve the problem. So I think of this as a contrast between the used car salesman. So if you go down to the slide with the used car salesman, right? The used car salesman who says, hey, you want a car? I got a car. What do you want? What do you need? Let me show you how this 2-seater jalopy is perfect for your family of 6, right? Versus the doctor. The doctor prescribes. The doctor isn't trying to solve every problem for everybody. So I think of this as, oh, hey, you're dying of a heart attack and have a gash in your arm while giving birth. I'm sorry. I only do undersea hyperbaric medicine. I'm not that kind of doctor. And so what we really look at is putting people in the position of prescribing a solution. Oh, you have this problem? Here's a solution to that problem. And then I have an offer to solve that solution. So then you can have a conversation about whether that solution is the right solution. It tends to be a really effective conversation. It is such an easy way to go about it. So much easier and intuitive, because I'm not a sales guy, Bill. I'm not. I'm a marketing guy.
Right.
But when I get into these sales conversations where I can solve people's problems, it feels great. I love it. I enjoy it.
So true sales is an art. And to watch a good salesperson at work, at what they're doing and the conversation they have and when to listen, when to speak, it's a thing of beauty. If you really understand the world of sales, there's such high levels, but there is so much out there training in sales in many industries that is absolutely horrendous. And I mean, and I'm in the financial advising world, right? And let me tell you, I don't know of any place that's worse than that, but I'm guessing there probably are. we come back and say, here, try this, try that, say this, say that, do this, do that. No, we don't say that anymore. We don't do that anymore. Here, try this now. And you get to the point you're like, I don't even know what I do anymore.
Right.
Because you freeze. And again, it simplify these things. You have the marketing arm and the sales arm working together. The marketing arm is telling a story. The salesperson is just regurgitating that story and bringing it to the person directly.
There's some really interesting research that was done by Gartner. Well, it was done by CEB, and then Gartner bought CEB, and it's published in the Harvard Business Review. And they find that most salespeople, and I agree with you, like the people who are really good at sales, it's an art. It's an art to understanding human beings, right? Most of us don't do that very well. Most of us bombard people with lots of information. And this research showed that most salespeople are bombarding with information, and they end up confusing their clients. And what this does is it reduces purchase ease, they found, by 37%. And it increases buyer's remorse that we just talked about by 50%. So like there's this, and people think that they're doing a good, I'm giving you all of the information.
Right.
I'm helping
you know all this.
But it doesn't work. And those
it's called going into the weeds.
You get into the weeds. But if you go in with more of a prescriptive approach, and you'll see this in talented salespeople, they prescribe, they show the solution. They find that makes the buying process 86% easier, while reducing buyer's remorse by 37%.
I will say, after 37 years in sales, that's something you learn, but it took me a long, long time. And you're absolutely right. When you get into the weeds, you're trying to oversell, and the reason why salespeople actually do that is because they don't think they have the sale yet.
Right.
They think they have to keep going. And the issue with that is you think, as a salesperson, I have to keep talking and keep trying to sell, and I have to find something that's going to click in their brains, and I'll see it. And when I see it, I know I got them. But the reality is just shut up. Listen to the person you're speaking with. Listen to what their wants, their needs, their issues, their concerns are. Listen to what, and then trust me, it comes to what you're trying to offer, and then only say, look, would you be interested if I could show you a solution to that?
Right.
Yeah.
Simple.
Don't go into the thing that we do that you might like. We call it the solution in passive voice. So what this is if we even say, here's the solution that's going to solve your problem, not even making it an offer. I remove the person selling it completely. I say, this is the solution to your problem. And then people say, yeah, that would really solve my problem. And then you come back and say, well, here's my offer.
Yeah. A lot we can go all over the place with these sales and marketing, but I know you're more on the marketing side, so I want to kind of hang out on that side. I'm the sales side, so that doesn't mean I know marketing. I just hope that the marketing I see, like some people work for companies that have lots of commercials out there, right? That's presumably helping the sales team sell, right? Reach a bigger market, reach more people. And then there are the folks that have none of that, right? They don't have any of the advertising and whatnot, thus making it a little more challenging. But marketing, that's kind of where it starts, right? And you have something called that you talk about with the 7 sins of marketing.
7 sins of marketing. So the 7 things that people do wrong in marketing, and the first one is really trying to sell to everybody, right? And again, I know that my language, I sort of mix the language of sales and marketing, but in marketing, it's critically important. If you're trying to market to everybody, it will never work, like we talked about, so we talk about the 7, the 7 deadly sins of sales and marketing. And I just think, it's so key, like you say, to find that process to address these things so that you are speaking to your target market and helping them understand what it is you do. The second one that we have is actually this idea of speaking the wrong language. If and maybe you can relate to this probably in the sales experience as well. Just the idea of, if I'm speaking jargon, if I'm talking about my product from my perspective, using my language, then my prospect can never understand it. So if you're marketing, you're putting content out there, you're talking to people, and you're using language. I had this one MSP, a managed service provider, an IT person. And he said, well, I have to use all of these acronyms, DNS and DHCP and whatever. I don't even know them all, but they got all these acronyms. I have to do this to impress people. And I said, no, the people who are buying you, they have no idea what you're talking about. It's like listening to a marketing spiel or a sales spiel or reading content that's in another language. Do you see that in the sales world as well?
Funny you bring it up. So yesterday I had a wonderful conversation with some gentlemen that were kind of like code writers. And I'm probably saying it wrong, because those who know me know I'm technically challenged, but I can tell you I am learning a hell of a lot in a very short period of time. But they were using a lot of acronyms, and they LMS, and how we build an LMS, and do we use WordPress or we don't use WordPress? What are the limitations? And da, 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 on and on and on. And like I said, I picked up enough to understand some of the lingo. But I just kept saying to him, I said, I really wish I had my partner on here. She's the technical person for the business, not I. But I was introduced to them, so I thought I'd have a conversation at least to see what they could do to help us out. But it's exactly what you're saying.
Right.
A good portion of the conversation was not something I understood or comprehended.
And I actually think of delivery as a part of the marketing process. So, when they're delivering to you, when they're talking, the presentation of the product and how they're engaging with you, it's amazing how powerful it is. If you want referrals, if you want people to write recommendations and tell their friends, if you speak their language, if you can communicate in your customer's language, it makes you so attractive to them, so interesting, and they're very willing to spread the news.
Absolutely. And it's a big failure on salespeople, is not doing your homework, not homework on the industry, homework on the company, homework on the business owner, learn the mission statement, little details that don't take a whole lot of effort, that make a tremendous amount of difference. And these are things I see salespeople that don't do all the time, especially in the corporate world, because they're not.
Well, I think a lot of businesses, startup businesses especially, don't know who the avatar is.
Correct.
So we talked a little bit about that, and that's your specialty too, Jeff, is, hey, if I'm a plumber and I go out and get a truck and put a magnet on the side of it to build a plumbing business, my avatar is somebody who's got a toilet, right?
Well, in your mind.
Right.
In your mind. Hopefully 6 or 7, or unless you're Pritzker and you pulled them all out. But.
So, Jeff.
Well, it could be, like you have different. I agree. We always start everything we do at Start Grow Manage always starts with the avatar. You've got to know. We don't like, it's the very first conversation we have with somebody is, what's your avatar? Because that is the key thing. And like you say, a plumber can do what? A plumber could be selling to contractors in order to do, rough plumbing. A plumber could be fixing your septic system. A plumber could be fixing your plumbing system, right? Your running water system, right? A plumber could, you could think of all kinds of different niches for plumbers. You define that avatar. And like you say, if you just say to people, look, I fix stopped up toilets. How many people every day are looking up, help me with my stopped up toilet, and if you can tell that story, they're going to give you a call, right?
Well, it's interesting. How do you build a marketing plan and sell something if you don't know that your avatar?
You can't. You
Yeah.
absolutely cannot. But if you don't do it, that's where you end up with the 4 a.m. I'm going to Instagram and social media and contact the whole world for the next three hours in the hopes of getting some more followers, right? So that people can then come. Maybe somebody comes and buys from me, right?
Deb, good morning. Deb says, I love that comment about using the right language. I'm a marketing person, and I remember being told about my MBA speak
Oh yeah.
and that I needed to, quote unquote, take it down a notch. Speaks to the importance of using the language of your target audience.
Spot on.
Yeah. I've been accused of that many times in my career, Deb. I had to learn.
Yeah, I don't. Even if you've been in sales a long time, there's still always things to learn
Yeah.
and to keep foremost in the forefront of your mind.
Mhm.
Again, going back to the avatar, doing your homework, studying the industry. What are the issues in the industry that are common? Because you have competitors, right? You got all kinds of folks that are out there competing with you, selling similar products for similar,
Yeah.
solutions. What makes you stand out? Because we get that a lot, right?
Yeah.
When you go meet with people, what makes you different? I hate that question. Because if I have 3 or 4 days, I might be able to explain it all to you, but it gets too much into the weeds. But
Well, you know what we found, Bill, is that the idea of story really helps with that. Because if you can be clear about the problem you solve and for whom you solve that problem and how you do it, there's an interesting combination there where you have the person that you solve the problem for, the specific problem, and the way you do it. And you put those three things together, and you have a pretty unique offering.
good point.
Which actually turns out to be very interesting because I agree. I struggled with that. It's like, well, come on, man. I know what I'm doing. I'm smart. I mean, I struggle with this whole how do I differentiate myself for a long time until I discovered this idea of clarity around the avatar that we've been talking about here, clarity around the problem that you solve for that avatar, clarity around how you solve that problem. And that helps a lot with that differentiation because it's so hard. I agree. It's so hard to stand there and say, well, this is how I'm different. It just never seems to work out.
Yeah, instead of focusing on the product or the service, you need to focus on the avatar. The
Yeah.
avatar being your target audience.
Mhm.
Just for those because we're saying avatar quite a bit, and
And here we are. We're using the wrong language, right?
right, right, exactly. But in this instance, but good point. And what you do, and what you're involved with is helping folks understand how to automate this, right?
Yes. So what we do with Irresistible Sales and Marketing is we actually start. So I started with automating people's marketing funnels. And then what I discovered was I can't automate it because nobody knows what they're selling. So how I can't automate something that isn't actually that doesn't have a great sales conversation. I've got to have that sales conversation. So my marketing suffered. I couldn't market because I didn't know what the sales conversation was. And so this is when we put together Irresistible Sales and Marketing because I said to Joe, I said, look, we have to know what their sales conversation is. I can't create this machine. I can't make this thing work until I know what the sales conversation is. So we guide people through the process of creating that sales conversation. And once they have it and they've practiced it and they know it, then we say, this is how you create the marketing funnel, which isn't hard. It's kind of tedious. You have to fill in all the web pages and stuff.
Well, you know what?
But the hard part is actually just knowing what your sales conversation is, right?
I agree with you. It's kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg here, but because it's a combination, you have to work together. Sales and marketing absolutely need to be talking to each other consistently, sending the same message out. And trust me, for you sales folks, if you have good marketing and you two are in tune with each other, your sales are a lot easier.
Right.
They're gonna it.
And
I mean, I've heard of sales processes like, oh, we have 14 steps. 14 steps. How long does that take? Well, it can take up to 9 months. So your sales cycle is 9 months, 14 steps. And I'm sitting here going, and what's your closing record? And it's not typically not high.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've actually talked to one Fortune 500 company head of sales a few years ago. I had this conversation, and he came back and he said, "Well, we figured out what was missing, and we've added 3 more steps." And I laughed at him, and he's like, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Well, I thought 14 was ridiculously too much." I
Yeah.
said, "But now you've added 3 more steps. So let me ask you something. How much more time does that add? What's
Yeah.
what is the cost for adding that? And what is the success ratio you expect to receive by adding this?" And a week later, he came back and goes, "Yeah, we scrapped all that."
Well, what's interesting is in the marketing process, we'll have lots of steps, but it's automated, right? And what it does is it works at the speed of the customer. And we talked about adding value. So if you think of the marketing process, it's really a process of building trust and relevance and understanding that transformation. And so we start with it might be something for free to demonstrate the value, and then you make a small purchase and a bigger purchase and a bigger purchase. And this is something that I've been doing. We do this for our course, but I've also done this for multi-million-dollar innovation programs, and it's this process of getting to understand, getting to know each other by having steps and adding value. And if you've got 17 sales steps, it's just is impossible for you to manage as a person, right? There's too many moving parts. But if you've got a computer that says, okay,
And
once
that's 17 opportunities to make a mistake.
Yeah, 17 opportunities to make a mistake, 17 opportunities to drop the ball, 17 opportunities
to lose the sale and make the wrong
to lose the sale.
Absolutely. But so I'm automating my marketing plan, and
Yeah.
it's in conjunction with my sales and the stories that they're telling. Um, but it's not just a one-time end-all be-all, right? Now it's automated. I'm good for life. It's not,
Well,
right?
so marketing itself is a process of experimentation, right? So marketing, when I started with marketing, I thought that the most important thing in marketing was to be creative. And what I've learned is that the most important thing in marketing is to know your numbers, because you automate, but you have to measure each step in the journey. You have to see what's working, what's not working, try different things. And then what you'll find is that the world moves, right? So something that worked today, it changes. So something that was resonating with people today might not resonate tomorrow. So it's sort of marketing is a constant process of trying and evaluating things. I do think you can build a marketing process that works, that brings in leads.
Right.
But I've just found that if you assume that it's going to work forever, and you never make any changes to it, eventually it's going to fall apart, right? I mean, eventually
It's outdated. And like you said, things do change, and in today's world, I mean, things change rapidly. But I want to get back to one thing you said, and you said that marketing needs to be creative.
Yeah.
Now, it's my understanding in the corporate world that being creative isn't something that's promoted. It's demoted. We don't need you to be creative. We need you to do what we tell you to do. You don't need to know why, because we're paying you, so just do it. They crush creativity, and I think this goes on in other aspects of life and other areas in other businesses and schools even. Um, we crush that creativity, but that's so important to let people, because you get a feel for your market, right? You get a feel. If you've got a good relationship with your sales team, your sales manager, with your marketing manager, and you work hand in hand together, you can really do some tremendous work and get some good things done, and your business can make a lot of money at it. But you have to allow for creativity. You have to allow the folks to to show you what they can do.
Yeah, it's it's there's a funny thing between small business and large business. That's small business. There's always this time money issue, right? Small
Yeah.
business, you have all the permission in the world to be creative, but you don't have the money to do it. And then the corporates, they have all the money to do it, but no will to be creative. And I do think it's interesting corporate environments where they do promote creativity and they allow people to break the rules. I spent a lot of time in corporate environments, and I found that the best ones were ones where there were well-defined rules that people were allowed to break. It's like you got to have the rules, and then you have to realize that there's a point at which the rules have to be broken, and you have to try different things.
I
And
I like that. I agree with you. I think there are businesses that have come around to that understanding. I think there's still many that are very stagnant in that
100%. Yeah.
that still don't get it, and this pandemic has brought that out tremendously. But let's talk about So you've got a special webinar coming up, right?
Yeah, we do. So it's the 7 sins of sales and marketing, and that's we have it coming up in June. We have a few different dates for it. So the June 16th, 17th, 18th, and the 20th. So and this is a pretty boring page, but it does get you to the date that you want so that you can register on Zoom. And it's a 1 hour. It's a 1 hour webinar, and we go through all 7 of the sins of sales and marketing, the things that we find that over and over and over again keep people from having effective marketing programs, keep people from getting sales done, and then we give recommendations for how to fix that, how to start making progress right now. So like I said earlier, we don't charge for this. We want to add a ridiculous amount of value to people, so they come to this, and then if they agree that it's a ridiculous amount of value, then maybe they want to work with us again or follow us or do whatever they do. But and the ones who are our avatar tend to stick around.
You and Joe are phenomenal and about giving. I've been through some of your webinars,
Yeah.
and you give a lot of value.
Yeah.
You really do. And one thing I always walk away with is boy, you still need you and Jeff, really, because it's one thing to go through a webinar to understand the 7 sins of sales and marketing, but it's another to actually correct them or fix them or
Implement the change.
build them and make that change, because boy, change is hard, right?
Change is really hard. Doing something, acting in a different way is hard. And as well, people tend to be good at the thing that they're good at, and why are you going to spend your time doing the thing that you're not good at, and I think that we do give a lot, and we give away our templates and we give away things because I really want people to see the value, and some people take it and run with it and implement it, and I think that's great. I'm happy. And what's interesting is so many people take it, run it, implement it, and they come back to us for more, and then they become our highest paying customers later on because they're like, okay, Jeff, we did all the free stuff, now we have to figure out the next step. But I find that one of the keys to marketing is just that generosity. We see business as not a zero-sum game. We think that it's a world of abundance. There is plenty of opportunity for all of us. We're not particularly worried about competition, and we are passionate about seeing entrepreneurs create businesses that deliver real life deliver on real life goals, so that allow entrepreneurs to live great lives, to be in control of a business, to realize the objectives that they set out to realize at the very beginning of their journeys.
And it's a great point. Don't spend too much time at things that you're not good at or that you don't like doing.
Yeah.
Find people who do like it and are good at it, and then let them do their job.
Right.
Really important. But before we get too far, and I want to get Deese's comment up here in a moment, but where can we find you to sign up for this? I mean,
Well, the Irresistible Sales. So you can sign up for the 7 sins of sales and marketing at startgrowmanage/7 sins. And then these are the different dates. You just click on that and it will take you to Zoom and you can just sign up right there. And if you're
we
interested,
got it right, because it's startgrowmanage.com/7sins, correct?
correct, with startgrowmanage.com/7sins, and that's for the marketing webinar. And then if you're interested in the sales and marketing masterclass, that's at startgrowmanage.com/ISM for Irresistible Sales and Marketing.
Okay. And I imagine if we go to startgrowmanage.com, we can enjoy your webpage and then find these things within
You'll find these on the webpage. If you go, we've got lots of great content on our blog as well. So we again, in our mission to share and support entrepreneurs, we put a lot of useful content on the blog and share it there. So people can feel free to go to just startgrowmanage.com and check out the blog.
And I really want to emphasize that you folks there at Start Grow Manage do some tremendous work. You're meticulous with what you're doing. People don't walk away and just say, "Oh, why do they do that?" or "Why do they say that?" You fill it all in, and it's very commonsensical, very easy to follow and understand. But again, if that's something you like doing, you still need to know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, right, hire the person who does like doing it and is good at it, let them do their job. But you still need to know, if you're a business owner, you have to have knowledge,
Yeah.
all
so I do think so. So thank you for your kind words. I coming from you, that means a lot. And I do think I do think that business owners have to have a level of understanding. They have to know what the people around them are doing, be able to guide them. So there is you've got to know enough to be able to delegate, and you have to know enough to be able to assess whether or not you're going in the right direction. I think that's very important.
So important, because as a leader, you're not there to tell people what to do. You're there to help people do when they need help.
Yeah.
With what areas. So so it's so important to be familiar with it. And I want to get back to Deb's comment. Giving away big value is critical.
Yeah.
They'll always need help implementing, executing. So who are they going to call? They're going to call you guys, right?
Yeah, that's right.
In this instance, because it's such a critical part of any business.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not shy about giving away things, and people will even ask me for can I have this template, or do you have a template for this? And I'm very happy. I create templates built for everything. I've got a library of templates and tools that we're just scratching the surface on.
I'm the recipient of some of them. You sent me one last week that has been tremendous help.
Oh, great! Which one was that?
To me, that was on the angel investors.
Oh, that's right.
So you sent me the questionnaire form so that I can better understand what those folks look for and VCs folks look for, and so that I can put my partner and I can put together a much better plan than just trying to figure out and think, what
Right.
they need. But so it's not just marketing, it's not just sales. These folks at Start Grow Manage, Jeff and Joe, they have tremendous amount of knowledge. Tremendous amount of information, and you need to get to know these guys. You need to get to know this business, because it's if you want to be a successful business owner, these guys can make a big difference. So we appreciate that.
Bill.
Appreciate all that you guys have done to help me. Not to mention all the people you know.
Yeah. Well, that's actually the great thing about our business is how many people, the network. We've been thinking, we've got so many great companies in our network, and we're thinking about how to connect them more, how to create that community, how to create a directory of companies, because what's amazing is anything that we need, we just call the people in our in our network, in our group here, and we've got some really great people. So yeah, it's I know a lot of people, but Joe basically knows the world. You know, there are very few people in the world who you go up to them and say Joe Rojas, and they don't know who you're talking about. You know, that's
Yeah, it's very rare. I agree with you there. I reach out to Joe from time to time, and the man always has an answer.
yeah.
Always. But
And someone to meet and someone to go talk to, you know, all the time.
yeah, and if folks remember that we've had Joe on the show, and Joe is on the side of, what are the 5 steps of starting a business, building that foundation, right? So very, very important, because you need to get that before
Yeah.
you get to the marketing and the sales side of things, right? Get a good solid foundation, again, about automating your business, so that automating, don't misunderstand. Automating doesn't mean that once you have this set up, you can just go play golf for the rest of the week. You still have to be there and oversee and tweak as needed. But then, once you get that base, that foundation, you can start building that house, right? Nobody ever built a house starting with a roof. So you get that strong foundation, and then build up from there. And then you can get into that sales, marketing, branding, all that fun stuff.
You know, we think of it as a shovel, right? And if you don't, well, we want people to build a machine. You know, you build a business machine. Those 5 steps are all about building that business machine. And if you think about it, if you have a manual shovel, there's only so much you can dig, right? But if you build a machine, if you build a backhoe, right? Well, now you can dig a lot more, right? You're still digging, but you're digging a lot more. And then if you get one of those big mountain scraping, coal mining machines, now you're digging. You still have to do all the thinking around where you're going to do it and how and when and how you're going to sell it. But you can dig a lot more than if you get a bunch of people out there with a shovel, right?
Now, remember to call Julie before you start digging.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to run those power lines. But yeah, the good scenario, right? You want to be able to do more, but it takes time. You got to build it.
You got to build it.
Right. It just doesn't show up at your door unless there's a good salesman standing outside saying, "Hey, I got this great big machine you can buy." So yeah, you have to start small and work your way up, and that's where it's important to find that that avatar, that target market, and make it a small niche and work your way out. Like if you want to sell widgets, sell widgets within the town you live in, and then work to the town next door, and so on and so on. Don't try to sell to the whole world from the get-go.
Yeah.
Because you'll find yourself struggling very quickly.
Well, I think too, before you choose that avatar, Jeff, is you have to be a strong enough owner or entrepreneur to say, I don't have any damn idea what I'm doing with marketing and sales, right? And maybe I need help.
Maybe it's just a good finance person. I know numbers.
Right.
I don't know people.
Right.
Yeah. Look, we've got how many millions of people that have left their jobs in the last couple of years, let's say, and are out there trying to start businesses and have been learning the hard way that starting a business is not easy.
Yeah.
It isn't just coming up with an idea and build that field of dreams and they will come.
Doesn't work.
There's so much that goes into it that I think, and that's the idea of this show, is to try and help people understand all that goes into it. And they can go back and look at the various shows and they can learn different areas, because we bring on special folks like Jeff to help those business owners understand some of the trials and tribulations you're going to experience in building a business. And you're better off learning them on the front end than on the back end, because the front end, it's like anything else, it's less expensive, less painful.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think the work that you do is so important, because you get, one of the things that you learn how much you don't know, right? I mean, it's almost like the more you know you don't know. And I think that being exposed to all of these different ideas and going down different pathways is really helpful to the entrepreneur to sort of figure out, yeah, okay, I understand that, but I need help over here. And like you said a second ago, finding that humility to say, oh, I don't know this, so I need to work on this. And I think that, by exposing people to those ideas, by giving people that entry point to all the different perspectives and ideas, I think that you really enable people to make better decisions and grow their businesses. Because it is hard, but it's also one of those things where if you get information and it's learnable, right? It is learnable. You can find the people to support you. You can find the information to support you. And I think you give people access to that, which is
I'm going to make Deb Dietz laugh, because I'm going to use our mission statement for our new business. And it is, we provide knowledge. Go out and get your knowledge, because what does knowledge do? Knowledge gives you options.
Yeah.
Options give you freedom. If you don't acquire knowledge, maybe you only have one or two choices to solve a solution, and neither one may be good. I mean, neither one may be the solution. It may be short term, but not the overall solution, or might create more problems. If you have more knowledge, you have more options to choose from. You're going to have, the chances are to make a better decision are much greater, right? And that's freedom. So I know you're laughing, Deb, but that's the important value here, and this is why you want to come out and you want to see these webinars. You want to partake in it in one of them.
Well, the other thing is, you're always marketing, right? You're not always necessarily selling. When you're the face of a company, when you are that person, what you do and how you do it tells a lot about your business as well, right?
You're always selling. If you're the owner of a business, you're always.
No, I don't. I would highly disagree.
The only one you're not selling is your wife, because she's not buying.
No, I'd highly disagree with that. Marketing, yes, and marketing equals sales. But if I'm sitting there and I am drunk off my rocker at a Cubs game, and they go, "Hey, look, there's Kent from Kent's Toyota. Look at, he's throwing up on himself." That's marketing.
Yeah.
That's not selling, right?
Well, in a sense, like, if I were in the market for a car, I might not want to be buying from him.
Yeah.
Well, that's the marketing piece, right? I'm just there with my family. I'm not.
It's a fine line. Marketing and sales is such a fine line. There are two different tools pointed towards the same goal. But it's kind of a fine line, I think. But you're
a salesman.
That might have something to do with it. A little bit of bias on my part.
That's right.
But because I think we're always selling, no matter what we're doing. And I know so many people out there say, "Oh, I'm terrible at sales. Oh, I don't do sales." Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you're out there pumping something, But here's a really interesting thing that I had learned was, as a business owner, be careful about your selling techniques. Okay, maybe you have a sales team and they're selling. Don't step on their toes. Don't go out over them and say, "Let me go with you on this big closing call, because I'm going to help you out. I'm going to get this deal done." And the problem is, as a business owner, has that ego that my business is great and my product and service is outstanding, and you have to have it because this is my baby. And I have seen business owners lose more deals by getting involved in areas they shouldn't be involved in. And I've had that happen to me one time on a very big deal. And I begged the owner not to come along with me. I just said, "No, I don't want you there." I told him flat out, "You will screw up this deal." And he did.
But he has got that big S underneath his shirt.
Right. Right. But it's my business. I'll do what I want. I said, "Okay. Folks, that's not a good way to run a business." So you can.
That comes back to, do what you know, do what you're good at, right? Don't do everything.
Yeah, and if you've got a bunch of employees that you're supporting and families and whatnot, you better think twice about that kind of an attitude or an ego. But Jeff, we only have a couple minutes left here. Is there anything particular we didn't get to that you wanted to get to and get out there or advertise?
This has been great. I mean, I'd love for people to come to the webinar. If we could put up another way to get started. So ridiculous value, right from the beginning. if people want to go to that startgrowmanage.com/IVS, then they can download the Irresistible Value Statement. And this is actually a way of getting the of putting that story together so that you can introduce yourself in your marketing. So like Ken's saying, you're always marketing, you're always selling. You can say it in a way. So it's startgrowmanage.com/IV as in Victor, S as in Sam. And you can download our template. It will guide you through it, and you can use it the next time you have to introduce yourself, and you'll love the results. So people can get that right away. I'd love to have somebody join us for, I'd love to have everybody join us for our webinars coming up in June. And other than that, thank you, Bill. This has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been awesome having you on. I know you guys at Start Grow Manage do just some amazing work, and so many good people working with you and for you. And don't forget, I did promise Erica a raise through you. You're going to have to give her a raise. So
yes.
So I just wanted to point that out one more time.
Okay.
But,
she won't let me forget, I guarantee it.
But you just have good people working for you, and you're doing great work, and you're giving so much away. Folks, if you have the time, please jump in on these webinars, because you're going to learn a lot, and it's in a short time.
Yeah.
That's going to carry you for a long way. So why not? I know there's a lot of stuff out there that you can be looking at all over the place, but this is really super high quality stuff. So Jeff, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Bill, a pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much. Look forward to more of your great content as well. And like I said, just let me know when I can enroll my kids in your financial literacy course.
Well, we'll get that to you ASAP. Maybe we could do a little beta testing with your children.
I love it.
Jeff, thanks so much again. I think we're probably a little bit over time here, aren't we, Ken?
Yeah, we just go a little bit. That's okay.
Yeah, well, that's what we do when we have such great guests.
That's what we do. All right. You know what? For all of us here, 21.6 the net, we can't thank you enough for getting stuck in the net with us. This has been Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse every Wednesday, bright and early at 9 a.m.
Central Time.
And just follow him on Facebook. Everything else, he's got a lot of good stuff going on. And
Spotify, YouTube, subscribe,
Roku, everything.
Help
us out. Is there anywhere you're not?
Yeah, is there any?
Well, we're just trying to grow and help folks out. Like you guys, we're just here. We're just trying to help people out.
There you go.
I love it.
Great. So for all of us here, enjoy the day, and remember, folks, be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.